Hello everyone, it's Jay
And
And-
Max.
and Max, and we are filming a video together today because we haven't filmed together in a while, right? And today we have a very special video, and that is about the books we read last year.
Yes.
So in 2021, because it's 2022. What the hell? And I don't have a cup of the day, but I have a glass. So it's a Halloween glass. It has pumpkins on it. So, but whatever. It's Halloween all year around for me. And this is the first time we're filming in the bedroom. Well, since the makeover that I may have posted already or I may have not. And if I have not yet, then it's hopefully the next video. And yeah, we can get to it. No?
Yes.
So the first books we're gonna start with, we've actually read together, and that is because in our country this year Disney books started coming out in this like special golden edition or whatever. So that's what we're gonna show you first because we read those together and they're like tiny books, so you can show the first one.
Okay, first one is Lion King. It's like really small book.
Yeah, they're like super thin. You read them in like 5
And
minutes.
They have like really cool
Illustrations.
illustrations.
They're very pretty, and we're gonna probably go faster now on because there are many of them. The next one is the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Next one is Jungle Book, I guess.
Yeah, Jungle
Yes.
Book. It's Jungle Book. They're in Czech, by the way. Many of these books are in Czech because that's our first language. So the next one is Bambi,
Aladdin,
the Toy Story,
Cinderella,
Peter Pan,
Bolt,
the Chicken Little. Yes, it's Strašpytlík in Czech.
and
Very lovely.
Mickey Mouse and Christmas letters, I guess.
So yeah, the last that came out this year was the Christmas one, and they have already been couple next for this year, but that's not what belongs in this video anymore. So that's what we're ending with on the Disney edition, and now we're starting on the normal books. So
Yes.
do you want to begin or should I? First book I have read, I wanted to say this year, last year, was obviously by Stephen King, and yeah, lots of these books are in Czech, as I mentioned. So I'm gonna tell you the Czech title, and then I'm gonna tell you what it's like in English, and I have the notes in here. I hope I'm gonna find that. Yeah. So this one is from the series Four Past Midnight, which is one of his books that has more than one story in it. This had two, and the first one is called Časožrouti, which is a weird word in Czech. I almost punched you with the books. Book. It's weird in Czech and it's weird in English as well. So I don't really know how to pronounce it. Yeah. My boyfriend's showing the beautiful book. And so don't judge me if I pronounce this wrong. It's called the Langoliers. Don't quote me on this one because I don't really know how to pronounce it. And the second one is called Secret Window, Secret Garden. And if are we gonna tell something a little bit about the books, or is it gonna take too long? Well,
We should discuss it.
Okay, we can try. So the first one that I'm not gonna repeat the title of was kind of slow in the beginning, like too slow for my taste. But once I was in the half of the story, it started getting really interesting. But the beginning was too slow for me, and the second one is pretty short, and so it was fast from the beginning. And I really like the second one. I think I preferred that to the first one because the first one was kind of weird. Like they're all weird, but you know what I mean. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about this. Yes, it's going to shake because the stand is on the bed as it usually is. So
Yes.
yeah.
So my first book of the last year is the Big Book of Serial Killers, and in Czech is sériový vrazy 15 příběhů, které otřásly světem, and it's like encyclopedia of serial killers.
What? It's about serial killers? I would have never guessed.
I don't know what more to tell about this.
Yeah, I think that's enough. Yeah. The second book I have read is also by Stephen King, and it is Doctor Sleep, and it's one of the classics. So I don't know what else to tell you about it. It looks like this. You probably are very familiar with this one if you know Stephen King.
Okay, so my another book is True Crime. It's from the Czech author Lucie Bechinková. In Czech, it's Opravdové zločiny, and yeah, it's pretty much the same like the last one.
Another book is an obvious choice for me, and that is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Is this edition? Although it's fake because I did not read it in this edition. I actually read it in the Jim Key illustrated edition, but I didn't want to bring that huge book over here. So yeah, basically with Harry Potter, it's always like I keep rereading them all over again. So yeah.
Yes, another one I have here: Crime Questions Marks Unsolved Cases in the Czech Republic. It's the last one of true crime books in this year, I think, and yes.
You mean you have read actually something else besides like true crime?
This book is about unsolved cases, but only in here in Czech Republic, and it's pretty interesting. Yeah, so, and it's from Ondřej Krotil.
I am boring with another one because it's another Harry Potter. That's the last Harry Potter I have read this year. I only was reading these two books, and it's obviously The Goblet of Fire by the author of who we do not name.
Okay, so my another book is The Bakery Attack from by
Good luck with that one.
Haruki Murakami.
I actually do study Japanese, but I'm not gonna pronounce it anyway, so...
And this book we both of us read, and it's like pretty short, and it's pretty weird.
Yeah, if you have read anything by this author, I think this author goes by a weird kind of theme.
Yes.
And I have read one book by them before this. Sleep, and we both have read that one too.
He fell asleep after he read the book Sleep.
Yeah, I finished the book Sleep and I fell asleep, which is iconic, isn't it? And the next one is the first Vampire Diaries. And that has a backstory because I used to love the TV show The Vampire Diaries like 12 years ago probably, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read the books. And it's fucking shit. That's just what I'm going to say about it. But also, when you read something like Stephen King and it kind of fucks with your mind, you need to read something dumb such as The Vampire Diaries. So
okay, my another book is How to Be a Zombie by Serena Valentino, and it's a book of my childhood. It's actually a rereading for me, and yeah, it's like a funny book about how to become a zombie and how to live as a zombie. Live.
Yeah. Quote unquote on that. Yep. So last year, I wanted to say this year again, I started a book series, which that's a hole that you can get out of. And I started the Rosewood Chronicles by Connie Glynn, and this is the first one. Actually, there's 4 of them, and the next one, and that's gonna be the last one. Okay, the 5th book in the series is gonna actually come out, I think, towards the end of January. So I want to read all of them now, and this one specifically is called Undercover Princess. So that's the first one. And if you think it's for children, I think it could be, but I think it could be for adults as well. It's not like super like childish book. I think it's actually really interesting. I really enjoyed that one.
Okay, my another book is the Mammoth Book of Cthulhu. I'm sure that I don't read this right, but it's by many authors, and it's like stories about what H.P. Lovecraft write.
Yeah. So the next book for me is by an author, Gillian Flynn, and it's a tiny book. It's super tiny and super thin, and it's called The Grown Up, and we have very weird translation of this in Czech.
My story, we bought it in the train station.
Yeah, Max bought it for me because we went.
To Prague.
I
to
think we
doctors,
went to
I
Prague to
guess.
doctors, and I wanted something to read on the way, and we found this, and it was cheap. And I have read Sharp Objects by this author,
Yes.
and I really enjoy that. And it is very much like same kind of thing, so very depressing and dark.
Mhm.
But this like a short version of that.
Okay, and my another book is What If It's Us? It's by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, and basically it's
Can I interrupt you? I need to blow my nose.
basically it's a gay book about two boys, Arthur and Ben, and it's like really sweet.
So like sweet gay love story that we
Yes.
all need in our lives. So my next book is surprise, surprise, Stephen King. I can't help it. And basically, after I realized I have read Doctor Sleep, I realized I never actually read The Shining. So I had to read The Shining. It's in Czech, and it's called Osvícení in Czech, but it's The Shining. Which is funny, I have read this one in Czech, but Doctor Sleep in English. And for me, it's mostly like I don't care about the language. It's just if I can get a cheap copy, I do get it. So I have read The Shining, and it's a lot better than Doctor Sleep, if I might add. It was one of the best books by him I have read, and there's a reason why it's a classic.
Okay, I also read All the Things We Never Said. It's by Yasmin Rahman. And it's like a young adult, but it's pretty depressive, dark, and but
Yeah,
it
it's
has
because-
a good end.
It's because all young adults are depressed, so it makes sense.
yeah, I
Or is
guess.
it just us? I don't know. My next one is actually kind of like a comic book, you could say. And it's called The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. And if you're in love with these illustrations, you're gonna love this. It's thin and it's a very quick read, but it's worth it. It's about tea dragons.
And it's
What a
really
concept.
cute.
Yeah, it's adorable, and it's actually my sister's. I'm gonna give it back. I promise. If you're watching.
My another book is Meta by Pavel Bareš. It's from Czech author, and it's basically a story about like superheroes, but in another view that we are.
Well, you mentioned it's like a modern take
Yeah.
like modern issues that we actually like deal
Yeah.
with in the
Like
society.
that.
That's how he described it to me. I haven't read that. Next one for me is another Vampire Diaries, and I'm just not gonna get in deep in that. It was cheap, okay, and I read it.
My another book is Jurassic Park. It's by Michael Crichton, and I think you know this one. For me, it was like childhood memories because I love the movie.
I'm staying on the topic of vampires because I have read a book by Bram Stoker, and you already know what it is. It is Dracula. Because I have never read Dracula before that, and it's a classic, so I had to read it. It's good. It's very slow for me because it's not like modern books, you know. They
It's
go very
really
fast.
old.
Yeah, it's all, but it's a classic, so I had to read it, and it's pretty good.
My another book was a rereading of Hunger Games, the first one, and yeah, I love Hunger Games, and I hope that I reread another 2 books.
Did you actually finish it?
Mhm.
Oh, I did. I don't. I have no idea when you finished that one. My next one is by an author, and don't quote me on the pronunciation, Tove Jansson, and it's the Moominland, the Midwinter book, and I found it at my like parents' house, and I was like, yeah, the Moomins, I have to read that, and all I have to say is like if you want like cozy winter read, it's very magical. But also if you like struggle with seasonal depression during the winter, I think it's really interesting because like Moomin is definitely depressed, my dude. He's definitely depressed, but it's like about him learning about winter and like kind of falling in love with it. So yeah, that's that.
Okay, I have another rereading here. It's Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman.
Of course.
I really love this book, so I recommend it.
Yeah, I have yet to read it. I just started reading it and I fell asleep and then I never came back to it. I know everyone loves the Norse mythology book, but I'm going to at some point, okay?
I hope.
Yeah, same. My next book is Stephen King. I'm embarrassed, but it's Stephen King and it's his first book, Carrie. And it's really weird to read something short by Stephen King because this is very short for his normal like writing style. But yeah, Carrie, definitely recommend it. It's classic. That's all I have to say.
Another book I have here, it's also rereading, and it's Terribly True Shark Stories. I read this when I was like 11. The book is like really old, you can see it.
My next book is very tiny and it is by Edgar Allan Poe and it's The Raven and Other Poems. So I don't know if in other countries there's specifically this book because they make like different versions. But this is specifically the poems and I am not a poetry person. That's all I have to say about this. Like it was pretty good, but I am just not a poetry person. I like The Raven, but poetry is not my thing. So
Another reading, Horrible Stories, The Terrible Tudors. Yes, this books was my childhood. So yeah, I was nerd when I was a child, and I'm still nerd now.
wow, we wouldn't have noticed. My next book is also a childhood reread, and that is by R.L. Stein. And if you know the Goosebumps, you know there are like a million books, but this is specifically the one I have found in also my parents' house. That's why I reread a bunch of these books, and it's the one that is called How to Kill a Monster, or in Czech Doupěné stvůry, and it is actually really weird. Like when you read some things as a kid, you don't find them so
Yeah.
weird, but this is like their grandparents letting their grandchildren be eaten by a monster. It's really weird. That's like
Yeah.
how it sum this up.
My another book is Percy Jackson Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. It's like a very beautiful book, and it has a movie. I guess you know it, but yeah, that's it.
My next book is by Ransom Rakes, and it is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It's tongue tied like this, and it looks like this. And
It's a really good book.
yeah, okay. I have only watched the movie up until last year, and I'm so glad that I finally picked up the book because it's actually really good. It was one of my favorites that I have read all year. So that's what I'm going to say about it. The problem is I realized it has more books. It's a book
Yeah.
series, and
It's like 4 or 5.
yeah, I think it
books,
was
I
like
think.
5. So great, I have to
Yeah,
read
and
another book series.
My last book for this for last year was Sherlock Big Game. It's like the manga version. It has really nice drawings, and yeah, it's same as the BBC series.
I should read that one too. My next is the supernatural book, John Winchester's Journal. That looks like this. If you watch Supernatural, you know.
I read it like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's his book. So I have read that, and it's by Alex Irvin.
Erwin.
If I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, for supernatural fans. And oh, it's only my turn now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't have job for most of the year, so it shows on this. And now I'm gonna show you the weirdest book I have read this year. The Monster High, one of the books. They are very aesthetically pleasing. That's what I'm going to say about that. But it's so weird. This one was, what was it called in English? Wait, I have it. Who's the Ghoul Friend? That's what it's called. And it's not even the first book in the series, so I was very confused. Another one is also Edgar Allan Poe, and that is, oh god, I hope I wrote this in English, The Pit and the Pendulum and Other Stories. So the classic stories, I like this one way more than the poems, because I am not a poem person, but I am stories person, so I actually really enjoy that one, and I love the cover of it.
Yeah, I read it too, like 2 years ago because of my maturity exam in school.
Yeah, you couldn't do as much reading as you had to do like the actual school reading. That's not fun.
Yes.
Well, I don't go to school anymore, thank fuck.
I have a gap year between high school and university.
Yeah, so we're just chilling together now. Mhm. Well, my next book is, I think, the first book on my list from a Czech author. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think.
And it's also one of...
Don't read much Czech authors.
Yeah, I do not really read Czech authors, so this was a special one for me, and that is because it's another childhood book, and it's called Strašidelné město, O světle a temnotách by Zuzana Holasová, and in translation it would be something like Scary Town about light and the darkness or something like that. And it was like the first kind of like a horror kind of book that I have ever read.
It's like horror for children.
Yeah, except it's really disturbing. Like this guy is stealing souls from kids. It's pretty creepy, considering it's like for kids. My another book doesn't have a cover because I actually got this like super cheap,
Yeah,
and it was super cheap because
because
it
it
didn't
had-
have a cover.
It was like 90% off.
Yeah, it was very cheap, so I couldn't say no, especially when it's second book in a series that I started reading. It's the second book from the Rosewood Chronicles by Connie Glynn, and this one is called Princess in Practice, so it continues the story from the first book. And I have to say, I love this one a lot more even than the first one, so I'm very excited to read the next ones, but that's all I have read from this series last year, so hopefully I'll go on next year. This year, you know what I mean.
Another Stephen King.
Yeah. Spoilers. Okay, spoilers. It's another Stephen King. Surprise, surprise. And it's the Salem Slot, or in Czech, Prokletí Salemu. And it's a vampire story. It's a classic vampire story by Stephen King. And since I have read also Dracula before that, it's very much like a modern take on
Modern
Dracula, but like Stephen King kind of twist on it. So that's what I'm gonna say about it. My next book is by Justin Richards, and it's one of the Doctor Who books. And if you watch Doctor Who, you know they also. Oh god, this is light. It's snowy, so it reflects badly. And it's called The Silhouette, and it is just one of the classic Doctor Who stories that have been written by many authors. This is also very cozy for winter. I have 4 more books, but they are from the same series, and that's what I've finished the year with. And they're all by Veronica Roth, and they are the Divergent series. So I'm gonna quickly show you. So the first one is 4, and that is because I got this book and I haven't read that, and so I finally did. But I have read the original trilogy before, but since I have read 4, I was feeling like sad for myself, and I wanted to read the trilogy again, so I did. So the first from the actual trilogy is the Divergent book, the original one. The second one is I have no idea how to pronounce that because I have read them in Czech.
In Czech, it's Resistenza.
It's Resistance in Czech, so I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, but yeah. And the third and the last one is Allegiant or Aliance in Czech, and I could talk about these books for 12 hours, and I did. Like I talked to
Yes.
Max about them for 12 hours. And I think I can make like special video about them.
Think-
I think that's it. So this is what we read last year. So if you're a reader and watching this, if you're not, God bless you. But if you're a reader and watching this, tell us what you read
last year.
Yeah.
And
or what you're reading right now.
yeah, that's it.
And that's it basically.
So
Till the
bye.
next time. Bye.